We are back on the Coaches Show, brought to you by Bowen's Body Shop. From dings and dents to full body work, trust Jeff and Kyle Bowen to do the job right. They're on Middle Tennessee Boulevard. It is time to talk Eagleville football this morning with the head coach of the Eagles, Floyd Walker, joins us and made the trek back from McKenzie, huh?
I feel like we just got back from there, man. But yeah, we made it back last night. I think we pulled into the school somewhere between 12:30 this morning. But it wasn't a bad trip. It's pretty much a straight shot once you get on 40 and Highway 22. So it was a can't say it was a fun trip. Can't say it was a good trip, but I mean it wasn't a very difficult trip. A very difficult trip.
And you've had some of those in the playoffs too.
Well, playoffs, regular season, it was a familiar trip when you start talking about the playoffs because we've been to Dresden twice, we've been to West Carroll once, so making that exact trip is very familiar to us.
I guess just because of where you fall in the region, you kind of always go west.
Right. That's what ends up happening. If you end up finishing, somewhere besides first, and you continue to win, you're going to end up eventually going west, unless some type of major upsets take place, in the first round. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those deals to where it is what it is. You based off your seeding going into the tournament, you put yourself in a bind by having to go on the road, and then you have to go into a place like McKenzie.
Well, I mean, just the district finish was like if it was horse racing.
Right.
I'm not going to channel Danny Brewer here or anything, but
yeah, please don't do that. Yeah, don't do that.
If it was horse racing, it'd been a photo finish in the district race,
It
it's
would have
nuts.
been. Yeah, it would have been. I mean, it was a great atmosphere as far as how our region was going to turn out between 1 and 5, and it came down to the last week of the season, and we were able to hold on to it and get a win and finish in second place. And unfortunately, we stumped our toe a couple of times early on in the season and couldn't get first place, and been able to host several games in the playoffs. But we're pleased with what happened. We're pleased with the way the season went, and it's just an unfortunate way to end last night.
The final score was 28-0 McKenzie, and thanks to your beautiful bride, she keeps us updated. I didn't know that they could even get a cell signal out of McKenzie, but it worked last night. And 7-0 at halftime. Right. And that's just the kind of grinded out game you want to be in.
It was. I mean, we were in a very, very good place going into halftime. We ended up. They had the ball inside the 10. Maybe it was even first and goal inside the 10, and we held them on 4 straight downs, and got out of the half down 7-0. So we felt really good about that. We had a challenging time getting some things going offensively, but a lot of that credit goes to McKenzie's defense and their defensive players. I thought those kids did a tremendous job of executing what they're supposed to do on their side of the ball, and they all can run. They're all physical. They all tackle well, and there was just not a whole lot of spaces to get yards last night. So our hats go off to them.
I mean, they have to be in the conversation about being one of the elite teams in the state. But when you're in this round of the playoffs, it's a Sweet 16.
Right. And this is the reason. I tell people all the time. I think McKenzie's either won the state championship or played for the state championship 3 out of the last 4 or 4 out of the last 5 years. So they have an established a high championship level football program, and those kids take a lot of pride in excelling. And like I said, if you take your hats off to a championship football team like them, I can definitely see them being back in Chattanooga with an opportunity to play for the state championship again.
Marshall Spann was Marshall Spann for you last night.
He was. I mean, I thought going into this last game, I thought he competed at a high level for 4 quarters. He was physical. He was making tackles. He was checking everything. Again, we're so thankful that we had the opportunity to work with him and have him and his family in our program, and it was just fun to watch him still give everything he had for Eagleville last night.
Yeah, well, his dad athletically, I'm not so sure, but grandma now.
Legend has it, huh? Legend has it.
Thomas Solomon, 8 carries for 42 yards for you last night as well. As stingy as you were trying to be on the defensive side, McKenzie was too.
They were. They did a good job of maintaining gap integrity. They did a good job of what we call skating down the line of scrimmage, and that's when you skate down to protect a cutback on the run, or if the quarterback tries to pull the ball and go outside. They did a tremendous job of that. They did a good job of rolling up on our wide outs to take some things on the outside from us away in the passing game. I thought we did do some things through the air later on toward the end, and I thought we started running the ball a little bit better during the fourth quarter, but it was just a little bit too late, and eventually we just couldn't make enough plays.
Start of the second half, they get a quick score,
Right,
and at that point, what was it, like 6 plays, something like that? It was
6
pretty
plays.
close.
I think it was 6-play drive for them in the start of the third quarter, and they went up 14-0 on us. And we got the ball back. We weren't able to do anything, punted, and it just kind of that was just kind of the MO of the night. You know, we were trying to just manage and get first downs and get some rhythm going, but we just could never find our footing.
Well, I know that it's always raw the morning after for you football coaches. Because you've been working, well, I guess the work never ends, but really, literally since after the dead period.
Right.
I mean, it's just like every day you're thinking, try to get better next day, work 7 on 7, all that. And then it comes to a screeching halt. But that's any sport, isn't it?
It really is. It's one of those deals where, I mean, you feel like you're going 100 miles an hour, and then all of a sudden it's just down to 0, and it's like you got a governor on it, But it's one of those deals. It's like we talked to the kids last night. I mean, yes, you're disappointed that you didn't win the game. You're disappointed that the season ended that way, but you're appreciative of the group that you ended up having to work with. That's the big thing that we're going to take away from this. We ain't going to dwell on the fact that we lost and got shut out and all that stuff. We're going to embrace the fact that, hey, yes, we won 8 games, but we won 8 games with some really, really, really great young men. So we're really thankful for this senior group. So,
yeah, and a chance to talk about that more here this morning. Floyd Walker's with us, the Eagleville head football coach. You go through this every year.
Right.
These kids go through it once, especially the seniors. You kind of have to be the grown up in the room, let's say, because I mean it's hard. I mean, when you pour your heart and soul into something for 4 years and then it's over.
It is. It's one of those deals to where you sit there and you try to talk to kids about the fact that at some point in time this is going to end. So you need to cherish these moments and everything. And but in reality, is whether you lose a game and your season comes to the end, or whether you win a state championship. For a lot of seniors, that's still going to be it.
Yeah.
So those emotions of the finality of it is still going to be there, win, lose, or draw. But it's like you said, we go through we tell each kid that every team is different. Well, it's different because you graduate seniors. And you graduate people that's been in programs for 4 years. You become attached to them. They become attached to you. You become attached to their families. You become attached to their friends, and that's what makes single A football and 2A football so special, is because the amount of time that you get to spend with such a small group of kids. Mm-hmm. That you get to know each and every last one of them, because you spend a lot of individual time as well as group time with them. So that's the great part about it, and that's why we will always hate losing our seniors, and we always try to make sure that they understand we're not trying to say bye, because we have the phrase about once an Eagle, always an Eagle. We're just trying to say, hey man, our door's open. Come by anytime you want to, and we'll see you later. So that's kind of what we're trying to make sure that they understand.
And that they do come back. I mean, over the history of Eagleville football, I mean, they're the fans in the stands, and pretty soon they're gonna. I mean, they've got kids now, so pretty soon they may be playing. You may have had some.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna make it for that one. Now.
Well,
all right,
maybe the first group, but anyway. But I mean, that is nice to see about community, and they build camaraderie, and some of their best friends, they're going to get married, and some of these guys that they played football with are going to be in their weddings and celebrate life milestones. I mean, that's what it's all about.
That's what we talked about too. We talked about that as well. About some of these people going to be in your weddings, and I'm like, and unfortunately, some of them may even be in your funeral. But that's the nature of the beast. That's the nature of growing close to people and having relationships, because this is a relationship sport. I mean, it's one of those deals to where you're going to spend an enormous amount of time, whether it's on a bus traveling to McKenzie, or whether it's in a weight room session, or whether it's at a practice, or whether it's at a walkthrough, or whether, when it's time for you to go to a basketball game or a baseball game, you go with this group, and you truly do build a brotherhood, or you establish brothers that are outside of your home. So it's cool to watch. It's we're thankful that we get to be a small part of it, and hopefully what we hope is that we help them just continue to be better men.
Floyd Walker with us as we talk Eagleville football. This 2024 team, Floyd, they made a choice. 8-4, I believe,
right.
Overall record, and 3 of those losses came at a pretty early time. You rattled off 5 in a row.
They did,
and things could have gone a totally different way, but they seemed to dig in and find out that you see it probably up close more than anybody. But I had someone tell me about how much this team has grown, from game 1 to game 3 even.
And that's what it wasn't. I said it last week. It wasn't like we went and changed anything defensively. It wasn't like we went and changed anything offensively or special team wise. What ended up happening was the connection that these kids had with one another would not let them cave in. They did a tremendous job, because you've been around athletics enough. When things ain't going well, it's a lot easier for people outside of that locker room to start making comments. I mean, you heard Coach Saban talk about rat poison. You hear all of that.
Well, and they don't even have to say it to your face because of this thing, the phone.
Exactly. That's what happens, and it's one of those deals to where it's friends going up and down the hallway talking about saying how that you're not very good, or people out in communities might say that you're not very good, and some people buy into those things, and once you start buying into it, it creates division and separation. But this group of seniors did a super job of keeping this locker room together, keeping this football team together, and thriving in some very challenging times early on in the season.
Yeah, you talk about senior leadership, but that senior leadership is earned on those first 2 or 3 years before you are a senior.
Yeah, that's what happens. In order to lead people, it's not going to be something that you say. It's going to be about your daily grind, how you go about your daily business, because you can't tell somebody to work hard if you're not working hard yourself. And this senior group gets after it. I mean, they don't mind lifting, they don't mind running, they don't mind straining, and it was something that underclassmen could look up to. So when they did say something, they were getting the truth. The underclassmen were getting the truth from the seniors because they visibly see it. And when you get a group to do that, then you've got good leadership in your locker room, and you can end up having a good program.
There are that senior leadership. That's what will be leaving the program, and hopefully they've left behind an impression on that sophomore and junior class who are coming in and will be a year older, stronger, faster, all of that stuff if they put in the work this offseason.
And that's what you hope. You hope they understand now, hey, this is what it's going to take. This is you've come through adversity. You've won ball games. You've played against a state championship caliber football team. You see how they are, and now let's take it and let's grow from it. And I'm excited about what we have underclassmen-wise. Um, I'm excited about what lies ahead for this group that's coming up next year in 2025. But I'm not gonna get to them until we're gonna keep on trying to enjoy this last group, until they graduate. So that's where we're gonna approach this thing. We'll get back to work at some point in time, probably after Thanksgiving. But we're gonna take some time and we're gonna make sure that this senior group, number one, gets healthy. We're a little bit banged up and they're a little bit banged up. We're gonna make sure this senior group is sound academically in the classroom and they're all caught up on all of their work. And we're going to make sure that this senior group had a great experience with Eagleville football.
And this senior group, you still have them for a few more months here, so they can be there to help encourage, grow this other class here too.
They'll still come around. I'm
Yeah.
sure Marshall Span will still come around. Nolan Lane, Caleb Snitzer, Elijah Watkins, and the list to go on, because again, it's one of those deals to where you've been doing this for 4 years, and all of a sudden, as a player, if you're not playing basketball or baseball, uh, you've been known as a football player for 4 years. So now it's one of those deals you kind of get thrown out there on an island by yourself. And that's why we talk to these kids about they got to understand who they are, not what they do. They got to understand if when somebody says, "Tell me about you," you don't ever need to leave off a conversation about, well, I play football at Eagleville, because that's what you do. That's not who you are. You need to be able to talk about, I'm a good son, I'm a good brother, I'm a good student, I'm a good classmate. You need to be able to tell people who you are. And right now, with this senior group, some of them are going to end up finding out that they're more than just a football player. So we're tickled to see where this takes them next.
Floyd, one more thing about this upcoming season. The TSSAA's initial realignment is out, and District 5-1A, including yourself, will be Cornersville, Fayetteville, Huntland, Moore County, and Richland. Teams you're very familiar with, whether they're in the region or not.
Right, yeah. It's kind of similar. We had this region several years ago. Basically, we had everybody in the same region except for Richland, and Forest was in their place. So it's a familiar deal for us. It's going to be a familiar travel path for us. It's going to be, again, a challenging task because Fayetteville comes in, and Fayetteville is, over the past 4 or 5 years, has been historically a really, really good football program. So we lose Wayne County, we lose Collinwood. Thank God we don't have to take those trips anymore down to Trace. So I am thankful for that. But it'll be exciting. It'll be challenging, but it'll be a little bit easier for our fan base to travel to as well.
It does help with travel a lot, doesn't it?
And that's why I try to get people to understand. I mean, I don't worry as much about our football team traveling. Our bus drivers do a super job of getting us there safely. But when you have the student body who wants to go watch their classmates play and they got to travel 2 hours, and you're 16, 17, 18 years old, it's not fair to those kids. And
a lot of mamas and daddies don't want them driving on those
exactly.
roads.
And what you want you want every kid in your school building to always be safe, even if they're just driving up and down the road. So I'm glad that we're in the region that we're in. We got to find some non-region games, and we'll try to find some that's relatively close, probably within an hour's drive. So we'll start getting all of that stuff situated whenever TSSAA releases the new schedule.
It's kind of tough to do that for you because the number of 1A schools, within an hour, they're not a ton.
Right, and what we'll end up doing, we'll look at having to pick up some 2As, some 3As possibly, Community, Cascade. There's just several other schools that's within an hour around us. So we'll talk to those. We'll see if we can work something out, and hopefully it'll be a lot easier and a lot less taxing on our student body.
Yeah, well, at least it's not the other sports because Santa Fe, Mount Pleasant, you kind of got off. But you've had the tough road the last few years anyway with that. Well, before we wrap up here, I do want to thank your wife, Kim, because she's my texting buddy on Friday night, so I'm going to miss that. But lets me know what's going on. We like to tell the folks all the scores of all the games, whatever game we're broadcasting, and she helps tremendously with that. And your administration there, Mr. Pettigo, would send out some tweets and things of that nature every now and then too. So helps us keep up with what's going on a frantic Friday night. So appreciate that.
We appreciate it. I mean, I think our whole Eagleville community and our staff, I think they do a tremendous job for all of our students and for our athletic programs. And again, I think what Mr. Pettigo was just named Administrator of the Year for this region, so we'd like to congratulate him. He's going to give all the credit to all the staff, kids, and coaches, but he does a tremendous job along with Jay Brown, Miss Tibbs, and Miss Tallman. So we're thankful for our administration, and we're just thankful for everybody that has something to do with Eagleville School.
Well, Floyd, it's time to get to that honey-do list. You don't have to come in and see us every Saturday morning, so there are some positives, I guess, right?
Yeah, right. Okay, man. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Well, at least coming in here anyway, right?
Yeah. It's a safe zone in here. Okay?
Well, I do appreciate you coming in every Saturday. We enjoy talking about Eagleville sports, and it'll be here before we know it, another year.
It will, man. Thank y'all so much for everything that y'all have done for us this year, and y'all be careful and take care.
Will do. Floyd Walker joining us this morning on the Coaches Show, brought to you by Sir Pizza, whose 3 Murfreesboro locations offer a huge selection of mouthwatering pizzas, sandwiches, pastas, and wings. Order your favorite pizza online at sirpizzatn.com.